This conference will now be recorded.
And let me see if I can share my camera. Okay, so we are now working with not absorption costing, but variable costing. So we're in the variable costing. In absorption costing, this is generally statements prepared for outsiders, and we, we're going to have product costs and period costs, and that's all we're concerned about. What's the cost of the item? What are the selling and administrative expenses? What's the income? But in planning, we move to variable costing. And when we move to variable costing, we have to separate the cost between variable and fixed. And as this uh, example shows here, when we do the income statement, we have sales less the variable product costs. Okay, so what are the product costs that are variable? Typically, this is going to be raw materials and labor. Then the variable manufacturing margin. And that's important because we're going to base our selling price that you've got to determine based on the variable manufacturing margin. Then we have less the variable selling and administrative expenses. So we get a contribution margin with the variable production cost, product cost, and the variable S&A, selling administrative expenses, contribution margin. Then we have the fixed costs, which is typically manufacturing overhead. Most of that's fixed, and a lot of our selling and administrative expenses are fixed. And so this is how our income statements will look going forward. Sales less the variable product costs, variable manufacturing margin, less the variable selling and administrative expenses, contribution margin, less the fixed expenses, uh, to get our income. And so here's an example for you to look at. So I'm not overly concerned about going into detail of doing that, but you just need to know that we're moving to that new format for the income statement: selling price minus variable costs uh, minus fixed costs. Now this chart shows what our concern. If a company is going to make a new product, if a company is going to a new location, this is what they do. They look at what amount of dollars they need generated and what quantity is needed so that they can break even. That's the first determination you're gonna make. They aren't gonna, they have to know that. Then they need to know how many units they need to make to get to a certain profit level. So any company that's making a product, or any company that's looking at a new location, they make these calculations to determine whether they're going to do it. What's the break even and can we reach it? And then if we got a certain product profit level, how many units do we need to get to that? So this is a key determination. It's, every time you're seeing new locations and new products, a company has gone through this process, and you're supposed to go. You'll be going through this process with the product that you are making. Let's look quickly at the sale of those T-shirts last time. We said that we sold 2,000 T-shirts with no fixed costs. The selling price was 15, and so therefore we had total sales of 30,000. The cost of each was $5 each, so that was $10. So we made $20,000. Is there any question on this example of selling price, less cost, contribution margin? We made $20,000 when we sold 2,000 T-shirts. Are there any questions? Then we said, suppose we move into the mall and we have to pay rent. So what I want you to do is to calculate uh, using these first two columns. I want to know the net income before the rent, which is the same thing we had here, then the net income after the rent. So in one situation, we got net income of zero. In the next we got fixed expenses of zero. In the next case, we have fixed expenses of 2,000. So everybody go through now and calculate my net income. We're selling 2,000 items. The quantity is 2,000. In one case, we don't have fixed expenses. In the next case, we do have fixed expenses. So everyone make those calculations. So what's the net income in the first case? We said we sold 2,000 at 15. So what's our income?
30,000.
Our cost is what?
$5.
10,000. Oh, well, 10,000. The total, right? You talking about the total, or you asking just for the cost? Oh, okay.
Total cost. So our
Okay.
contribution margin in dollars is what?
20,000.
20,000.
20,000. We have no rents. There's no fixed costs. So the net income is 20,000. What's that net income going to be when we have to pay the rent and we sell 2,000?
18,000.
I get 18,000. This is going to be 30,000 again, correct?
Yes.
This will be 10,000 again. This will be 20,000 again. Then go subtract the 20,000 from the 2,000.
The 2,000 from the 20. We get 18,000. So this is your company. You went from 0 to 2,000 fixed expenses. So the next question becomes, what quantity are you going to have to sell so you can maintain your 20,000? How many do you have to sell so that you can still have $20,000 in income? Because you wouldn't want to go to the mall and make less money. So if you go into the mall and start paying that $2,000, you want to say, okay, I'm going to sell more. So how many more do you have to sell so that you still have $20,000 in profit?
2,200.
I got a 2,200 as my
2,200.
answer
Yeah, 2,200 might be better. How did y'all get 2,200?
because it's when it comes to the rent, it's minus 2,000, so that you come out with 18,000. So you just what I did was I think, hang on,
You're going to add your fixed cost plus your target profit, and then divide that by your CM cost contribution margin.
Okay, so actually, we're going to take this target profit of 20,000 and we're going to add to that cost.
2,000.
And then we're going to divide that by what?
By 10.
What is 10?
The contribution margin.
Okay, this unit contribution margin. So this is a very important number. We're going to divide by that 10. And if we do that, 20,000 plus 2,000 is 22,000. Divided by 10 is 200. Does everybody see that? Andre, do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Danny, do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Everybody sees it. Mike, you see that? Okay. So we always want to check it. Once we get a number, we got 2,200. What's 2,200 times a $15 selling price?
$33,000.
33,000.
33,000?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
33,000.
What's 5 times a 2,200?
11,000.
Well, now this dollar contribution margin is 20,000. When we subtract that $2,000, we get the 20,000. So that's one of the formulas we learned last time. Finally, suppose I want this number to be 0. I want this number to be 0. How many do I have to make? What do I need in quantity? So I'm at break even.
You gonna take
That's
the
Southern
2,000.
divided.
Yeah, you gonna take the fix, and then you go divide it by the UCM.
So break even quantity, we just take what? The fixed total fixed costs,
2,000.
and we divide it by it's
10.
so we're always on this line. We have that fixed cost, so we have what? 2,000. CM's right there, 10. We
That
get a
fixed
quantity.
cost, is that the rent?
Yes.
Yep, that's the rent.
Okay.
We all be told what fixed cost is, and so we come up with how many we need to break even.
200.
200. So let's prove it. 200 times $15 each is how much?
3,000.
3,000.
And the cost of 200 is what? That time is what? 1,000.
1,000.
And so our contribution margin in dollars is 2,000. Fixed cost is 2,000. So we now breaking even. Do you see that, Chris?
Roger that, I see it.
I did that, you see it. So what you had to memorize and know how to use.
Formulas.
You got these 3 formulas at 5, 6, and 7. There's the break-even sales quantity. Break-even sales quantity. Fixed cost over unit contribution margin. There's the target profit sales quantity formula. fixed cost plus the target profit divided by unit contribution margin. And then there's the target loss formula, where it's fixed cost minus the target loss gives you divided by the uniform unit contribution margin. So those are the three formulas that we work with for the rest of the semester on every problem, on every exam, and the final exam, those three formulas. And you
The
Mr.
typically
you,
Boyd,
have all three.
I have a
Mr. Boyd, the
question.
unit.
Oh, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, my bad. Is the unit cost margin always going to be in the dollars in dollars,
Yeah,
or is it
yes. The
it's
unit
always going to be in dollars?
contribution margin is always dollars. We're trying to get, notice I got quantity. We're trying to get a quantity, and everything over here is dollars. So everything on the other side is a dollar. Fixed cost is a dollar. Unit contribution margin is a dollar. We're trying to get those quantities.
And
Yes,
also, when it
Ken,
comes, sorry,
go ahead.
when it comes to fixed cost, it's always so. Every time we come across a problem like this, when it comes to the fixed cost, it's always going to be the rent or like
I'll
what
be
you have to.
telling you what it is. It'll change eventually, but I will tell you what the fixed costs are.
Okay,
There could be a number of things, but you will know what the fixed costs are.
so mainly just fixed cost is what takes away from your net income, like kind of like an expense.
There are two types of costs.
Hmm.
There are fixed costs and variable costs. See, we can go back to our example. So you have some good points. A fixed cost, once we get over here, it stays the same. Notice what the fixed cost is. It does not change. Everyone see that? It's 2,000. The variable cost, it changes based on how many units we're dealing with. If it's 2,000, the fixed cost is 10,000. If it's 2,200, it's 11,000. If it's 200, it's 1,000. So you see the difference between fixed and variable? That variable cost is going to change based on the quantity. Fixed cost is going to stay the same all the way through. So thank you, Kennedy, for that question. I think that helps. Hopefully that helps
Yes,
a
sir.
lot of folks.
That helps. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody got those? All right, let's go. You got 5:55. I guess 15 minutes to do option 2. Because everybody's got to be able to do this. You got your individual test coming up. You got your final exam and everything. So I want you all to work option 2. In option 2, if you remember, we were selling computers. The computers cost $3,000. Their variable cost is the computer selling price is $3,000, and each computer costs $1,500, and your fixed cost for $300,000. So that these are our assumptions: selling price, variable cost, and see you given the fixed cost. So that will be pretty easy to calculate. So take your picture, memorize selling price 3,000, unit variable cost 1,500, total fixed cost 300,000. And what I want you to do is fill out this chart. This chart consists of what happens if you sell one item, target loss of 100,000, break even, target profit of $1 million. And so you got to put a quantity in here each time and then go through and prove it that you get here where you need to be accepted for. So what's the
Can I see
first
that
thing you
fixed cost?
said it
So on
again?
this example right here, we only selling one item.
No, you got four things you're doing. You're selling one so you see how it looks, and you'll make your.
I see the when I see the fixed cost one more time, I ain't get it down. Either one.
Okay, I guess I'm back now. So, Chris, you got to do four things. You got four columns. You got to go all the way to here. You got four columns. Sell one item, target loss of 100,000, break even, target profit of 1 million. You got to do, so those are four different scenarios with selling these computers. Now, let's look at one. We said that the selling price of the computer was how much?
3,000.
3,000.
And each computer costs what?
1,000.
1,500.
1,500.
Now,
1,500.
so our contribution margin is what?
1,500.
So that's what we're putting in this first column. Our fixed cost is still going to be what?
300,000.
300,000.
300,000.
300,000.
So if we sold one item, what would our net income be? If we'd have a loss, what would that loss be?
2,980 or 2,985.
298,500. So if we sold one item, that item generated $1,500. We knocked out 1,500 of these fixed costs. That's what we're always doing. So what I want you to do is to go over here to this middle column, break even. I want you to do that one next. So go through and do the break even next.
I do have a question right quick before we start. So just to reiterate, in order to get the net income where you got 298,500, you took the fixed cost. I'm sorry. Yes, you took the fixed cost, which is 300,000. And what other number did you take with that
I
in order to get
subtracted,
that?
what we made on one item.
So
So
1,500.
one computer for 1,500.
I see. Thank you.
So we knocked out. What we're trying to do. We got to have enough 1,500s, enough computers sold to make 1,500. So we wipe out the fixed costs. That's the first thing that we're trying to do. So I've already put the 300,000 in for you. It's going to stay the same. So now I want you to come up with a quantity in here so that you have a zero net income. Okay. Somebody other than my normal folks. I need a break-even quantity. So I don't need James or Ashley or Mike to be talking. Because actually, hey, you've been quiet. So for somebody else, I
So
need
would
to
the
know.
break-even quantity be 200?
That's what I got. It was 200.
Well, let's see if it'll work. 200 computers. Selling price, 200 times 3,000 are going to be what?
Hang on.
60,000?
60. Yeah.
Is it 60 or 600?
600,000.
Yeah, 600,000. My bad.
The variable costs are going to be what? 1,500 times 200, 2 times 15. What's 2 times 15?
30.
30.
So put some zeros on it. It'll be how much?
30,000.
Maybe 300,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
contribution margin then is
Yes, it'll
what?
be 300,000.
Fixed cost 300. So we at zero. Are there any questions?
No, sir.
Ooh, that said no, sir. Benny. All right, move on to the target loss. So Benny is up for the target loss. Other people can help him. Then I need somebody else up for target profit. Who wants to be a millionaire? Who in here wants to be a
I have
millionaire?
one question. Before we move to the house, do we
But now,
do we work out all them in the same process? Do we go to break before we do the target loss every time, or do we need to when we figuring out the answer? Can we go target loss break even
where you want to
when we
go? I
want
just
that
did
too?
break even
Uh,
because
all right.
I want to make sure everybody can do break even. But you can do it in any order you want. So now we're at target loss. So in coming up with our quantity, the fixed cost of what? 300,000. We got to subtract that, the 100,000 from it, right? Isn't that what the formula tells us to do? So
Yes.
to get the quantity, it's going to be the amount of the fixed cost minus the target loss divided by what?
The UCM.
What's the UCM? What is the UCM?
1,500.
Thank you, 1,500. So if we do that division, how much do we come up with for the quantity?
134.
We go to 134. What's 134 times 3,000?
402,000.
So we always round up.
Well, up or down, it doesn't matter. It's whatever works for you. So you just got to be within $500 of this number.
Okay.
So 1,500 times the 134 is going to be what?
201,000.
So our contribution margin is what? 201,000.
201,000.
So our loss is 300, and so we get close to it. We're at what, 99,000?
Yes.
So I guess if you're within 1,000, we'll go with that.
So
But
it
the
don't.
key thing,
The
it
number
won't
don't
be
have to be
exact.
exact.
No, it won't be exact all the time.
Okay.
I mean, if we are using, 10, 100,000 all the time, it would be, but otherwise it won't be exact.
Okay.
All right, so let me see the millionaires. How many of y'all got to sell millionaires?
So I
And
have a quick question.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
Depending on if we round up or down, we'll still be correct, even if like it's different answers. So
I
it's
said,
not one exact answer.
plus or minus $1,000.
Okay, got you.
So you can be 1,000 over, or within 1,000 over or 1,000 under, depending on how you round.
Okay.
So the key thing is the process. These are estimated numbers anyway.
Okay.
So if you close,
That's
that's fine.
okay.
Let me get some millionaires in here.
I have a question.
Yes.
So after you, just to go over, make sure I understand completely. When you got 134, you times that with 3,000, which is your selling price, and that's how you got 400,000. 402,000.
That's
That's how you
correct.
got it. And
Correct.
then after that, you in order to get 201,000, how did you
1,500. That's why this
you
column is helpful. Then we multiply the 1,500 times the 134.
100 times 134. Okay.
So we selling price times the 134, cost times the 134, give us that contribution margin. So he missed selling those shoes in Principles One. He took somebody else, so he didn't get to sell those shoes in Principles One. Any questions? All right, we need some inspiring millionaires to do this fourth column. Either Candace, Kashiana, or Robert, Cannery. You all take that over for me.
All right. What I
Who's ready?
did
Okay. Benny has it.
was add the million plus the 300,000 gave
So
me,
he added the million and the 300. So that was what, 1,300,000?
yeah, 1,300,000. And then I divided that by 1,500,
That's correct.
which gave me 867.
Okay.
And then I use multiply 867 times the selling price.
How much did you get?
I got 2,601,000.
2,106,000.
2,601,000.
Okay, 601. What's your cost gonna be?
Okay, my cost the same as it's 1,000,000 and 500.
How much these 867 computers gonna cost you?
Oh no, I mean
1,300,500. 1,300,500. 300,500 on me. I'm tripping.
1 million,
1,300,500. My fault. I'm trolling.
1,300,000, 500. That get us there?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we was 500 over. But
So if we subtract these two numbers, what do we have?
I
1,300,500.
1,300,500. So then we subtract the 300,000 fixed costs and we get what? 1,500,000.
500.
So just so we're close like that. So this is how things look when we are buying an item and selling it. Buying an item and selling it. So that, of course, is how we operate it when we're selling those shoes. Okay. Let's move next to our in-class problem. And in this in-class problem, we're making something. See, we just started off easy and we weren't making anything. Now we're making something. So in problem 2, we go back to that normal way we've been doing things in manufacturing accounting. What's the raw materials? What's the ink? What's the labor? So we got 3 components of the variable cost. So it's not one. And then we have 2 fixed costs. And our selling price is 3 times the unit variable cost. So and you should have this worksheet in course content, which is in Excel. And so what we're going to do is to do the break-even column. We're going to start on this break-even column. Then I'm going to put you in your teams to finish this up with your new knowledge today. So notice that our selling price is 3 times the unit variable, and this is going to be the unit variable product cost. So we got to get the variable cost first. And then we're going to multiply that by 3 to get our selling price. So it says the raw materials paper is 1 ream at 10. So we go to paper, we put in $10. Ink is 2 cartridges at 20. So the ink is going to be 40. You should be used to doing this. And the direct labor is 2 hours at 10. So what's my direct labor charge going to be? Unit cost. 2 hours at 10.
20.
$20.
20 is 20. So we add our variable costs together and we get what?
$70.
We get $70. Our selling price is what? 3 times that. So what's our selling price going to be?
$210.
210. We got, so what's our contribution margin going to be, that key number for us? What is our contribution margin going to be?
140.
140. It's simply selling price less variable cost. So this is how we'll be operating when we make something. We're going to have to get these variable costs, variable product costs, that's all. Or we had, sometimes we have bad debt and selling expenses. Then we're going to have to calculate the selling price, then come back and get the contribution margin. We have 2 fixed costs. What are they? Manufacturing overhead. That's 100,000, correct? And administrative expense, 40,000. So this is a template we'll use throughout the course. Our total fixed cost is 140. And it won't change. So we're going to keep the fixed costs are going to stay manufacturing overhead, administrative expense, and interest. These will be our 3 fixed costs. Here we had 2 of them. Then our administrative expenses are going to be, variable expenses are going to be ink, paper, labor, bad debts, and selling expense. Selling expense variable because they're going to be a percentage of the selling price. That is, our salesmen are going to be on commission. But for here, we're here. So now it's your job to finish out the rest of this chart today. It's your job to finish out the rest of this chart. So, for today, Andre, I'm going to put you in room 1 since they're a little light in room 1. And Kennedy, you're in room 1 too. Miss Ashley's in charge, so she's going to make sure that happens. And Shazam is in
Yes, sir.
3. Lena. Okay, so you'll now be heading off to these rooms shortly. I want you to complete it. I'll be checking the rooms. I want you to complete this spreadsheet.
This conference will now be recorded.